Welcome to the FSEconomy tutorial video using Google Earth to integrate FSX with FSE. The purpose of this tutorial video is to show you the Google Earth KML files for FSX and FSE and how to overlay them and overcome the differences in the airport databases between FSX and FSE. The first step we want to do is go ahead and get the KML files for both FSX and FSE. You can find those on the forums in the Pilot Resources section, down under the area that says Find All FSE Airports in Google Earth. On this post you can download directly the FSE Airfields KMZ file, and you can go to flightsim.com using this file name and get the KMZ file for FSX. Once you've got Google Earth up and loaded and the KMZ files loaded, you should see both of them in your Google Earth area. You can go ahead and see the differences in the databases as they pertain to each other. I'm going to go ahead and show you Alaska because that's the area that I'm most familiar with. The first type of anomaly that we usually see between FSX and FSE are airports that exist in your simulator but don't exist in the FSE database. One example is 7AK0. Based on Google Earth's overlay, you can see in several places there are two airport instances. This is the FSE icon for Manly Hot Springs. This is the FSX icon for Manly Hot Springs. You can tell that the airport exists at the same place in both simulators. For 7AK0, there is only one icon, so it only exists in FSX. If you were to use 7AK0 in your flight simulator, even though it does not exist in FSE, that would be easy to do. And the way you would do that is to load up your simulator, go to 7AK0, and once you're on the ground at 7AK0, use your client and do a start flight. You'll get an error message telling you that you have no rented aircraft at AK80. Now AK80 is specific to this location. Depending on where you're at in FSX, you may get a different entry for what FSE thinks you're at. So if we go back to Google Earth, we can tell that if we land here at 7AK0 in our simulator, FSEconomy will think we're at this airport. And that's okay. We can operate from this airport. Our FSE logs will simply say AK80. If we want to gather jobs and fly from 7AK0 in our simulator, we just go to the AK80 airport page in FSEconomy. Another anomaly between FSX and FSE is airports that have moved from when the FS9 database was invented and moved in FSX due to either real-world location problems or for whatever reason. An example that I'll show you here is Squentna and the Talachulitna River. You can see in FSEconomy that 1AK6 was placed to the northeast of Squentna. However, this was the wrong location according to the real-world location of the Talachulitna River airstrip. It is down here about 10 miles to the southwest of Squentna. If you want to land at 1AK6 in your simulator, you'll be right here, but FSEconomy will use its coordinate calculations and will say that you're at Squentna. Even though we can see visually in the simulator, we're sitting on 1AK6 airstrip down here. The client will load us at Squentna. If you land at 1AK6 and try to end your flight, you'll be placed at Squentna, and any assignments you had destined for 1AK6 will not register as have been delivered. We'll demonstrate this now going into our simulator and going to 1AK6. We'll go ahead and go to the airport webpage on FSEconomy. We'll go to the airport page for 1AK6. And we can see some assignments. We'll just grab a 2-packs assignment real quick. And we'll rent, let's grab the Cessna 172 while we're here. So you can see by the MyFlight page, you are ready to depart from 1AK6. We have some jobs sitting at 1AK6, and we have a rented aircraft at 1AK6. If we go back to the simulator, we are sitting on the ground at 1AK6. We can see in the map that we're at 1AK6 and that we are nowhere near Skwentna. Now this is the FSX map, and it looks different than the FSE map. So if we were to try to start our flight, now that we're ready to go, we would get an error message. You have no rented aircraft at Skwentna. Well, of course we don't, because we're not at Skwentna. But in FSEconomy, 1AK6 is further away from us than PASW or Skwentna, so the client thinks we're at Skwentna. No problem. If we want to fly these two passengers we have and we want to use the 172, we simply need to operate from FSE's perceived location of 1AK6, which again is to the northeast of Skwentna. So in our simulator, we'll just move our aircraft to that location. And since we're in a wheeled aircraft, we'll stick ourselves in the woods, make sure we're not moving, make sure we got a good altitude. I just set it for 0 for now, it'll put us where we need to be. And we'll pop out in the woods. It's an easy thing to just turn our realism settings off for this journey. So here we are in the woods, northeast of Skwentna. And according to our simulator, we are nowhere near 1AK6. We are right on top of Skwentna. However, if we go back to the client and try to do a start flight, our aircraft and our assignments at 1AK6 got on board. We now have a flight in progress, we can take off, and we can go ahead and fly to 5Z5 and get credit for our passengers leaving 1AK6 and our aircraft leaving 1AK6, even though in our simulator view we are nowhere near 1AK6. It's very important to understand the differences between the FSX airport database and the FSE airport database and how to get around these differences. The next area in FSE that looks similar to 1AK6 as far as a moved airport goes is 44AK. 44AK in FS9 was sitting up here just to the north of Anchorage a little bit, up here in the Susitna Valley. In FSX, the airport is placed correctly, but for some reason in FS9, and therefore in FSE, down here on the Kenai Peninsula, just north of Kenai Lake, is the location, the geographical location for 44AK according to the FSE database. So if you're going to use FSX and you want to operate out of 44AK, just know that the simulator is going to place you way up here, and you'll have to drag your aircraft way down here. The other anomaly between FSX and FSE, and X-Plane users will see this as well, is ICAO codes that have changed in the real world and were therefore updated. If you like to fly around, let's say, the Indonesia area, we'll take our Google Earth over to Indonesia. And for example, we're going to fly out of Bali. Now in FSEconomy, Bali is WRRR. So here we're looking at the airport page for Bali International Airport. A bunch of passengers, a bunch of planes. If we want to operate out of Bali, grab some assignments from WRRR, we know that in the simulator we have to go to a different ICAO code. Because if we attempt to type in WRRR, there is no matching airport. Bali in FSX, and in the real world, and probably X-Plane, is WADD, Bali International Airport. We'll go ahead and go there in our simulator. So now we're sitting at Bali International Airport. WADD in our simulator. It's in the same exact geographical coordinates as it really is in the real world. But FSEconomy calls it WRRR and FSX and calls it WADD. The entire area of Indonesia has updated ICAO codes in the real world. We can see that all the FS9 ICAOs are different than their real world counterparts and their FSX counterparts. So you have to know, if you use FSX, that when you look on the website, you have to use the FSE ICAO code, and when you try to go to the airport in your simulator, you have to use the new FSX ICAO code. Not a big deal, easy to overcome, you just have to know about it. And using Google Earth with the FSX KML file and the FSE KML file will allow you to get a good visual representation of both airport databases in one location.